So in this lecture we are going to start animating our objects, the logo and the different volumetric spheres. This video is all about animating the actual objects. In the next couple of lectures we will be animating the node values. The first thing that we can do is to switch to solid rendering in the viewport and only select the first layer. We can place the 3D cursor to center with the Shift S key and add an empty as plane axis. We are going to use this empty to parent our logo, the two blue spheres and the nebula sphere tool, so they can be animated all together. We add a second empty, a circle, as a visual aid and scale it up to be bigger than the logo. Then we can shift select layer 1, 3 and 11 and go into wireframe view to see the hidden spheres. With only layer 1 and 3 selected, we can switch to Cycles viewport rendering and check if everything looks good. Let's scale up a little our big blue sphere, since it seems the logo is not fully inside it. I see that our blue sphere's its fading can be a bit improved. We can do this by moving the left handle of our color ramp slightly to the right, to a position of around 0.007. We can deselect layer 3 and select both empties and move them to layer 4 for better organization. We can select layer 1 and 4, then we can select first our logo and then the axis empty and press Ctrl P and choose Set Parent to Object. Now our logo is parented to our empty, which means that you can move the logo and the empty does not move with it, but vice versa it will. We can deselect layer 1 and select layer 11 and 4. And in the same way we can first select the sphere and then the empty to parent the sphere to it. Then we can follow the same process for the sphere on layer 2 and 3. You can select the layers as I have selected them here. Then you can make sure that all the objects are parented to the empty by selecting the empty and moving it around. We can increase the size of our viewport editor and drag out another viewport window and change it to the timeline editor. In the Render Properties panel, we can change the frame rate to 30 and the end frame to 1000. You can zoom in and out on the timeline editor just like in the viewport. We can select frame 700 and with our empty selected, we can press the I key in order to create a keyframe. We can choose Lock Rot from the list, which means location rotation. Then we can select frame 400 and place the empty just behind our camera and rotate the empty so that the arms of the logo faces south. We can also place it a little bit on the left side of the camera and rotate it around 25 degrees anti-clockwise. Let's place it a little bit more behind the camera. Then with the I key we can add a keyframe on frame 400 as Lock Rot. Let's drag through the frames with our mouse and see how it looks in wireframe. It still needs some adjustments. Let's place it more behind the camera so that the big sphere is barely touching the camera. We can also make the keyframe on frame 300 instead of 400. We can also rotate the empty so that the logo is tilted and add the keyframe on frame 300. Don't forget to delete the keyframe on 400 with the Alt-I key. Let's play it in camera view with the numpad 0 key. We can drag out another window and set it to the graph editor, which is also an editor to modify your animations. Here you can see the item that you have currently selected. And here you can see the different keyframes you added with the different axes. As standard in Blender, keyframes get added with the Bezier interpolation, thus with smooth curves. I decided that it looks better to have the starting frame on 400 instead of 300, so we can then drag the keyframes directly in the graph editor. So let's check the animation in wireframe view to see if we like the tempo of the animation. I think the speed of the animation looks good. However, I would like to give our logo a bigger tilt in the beginning. In animation there's generally a lot of tweaking and playing back the animation to finally get to a result with which you are satisfied with. I think this animation is good enough for now. The unused frames between 700 and 1000 will be used for the nebula and iris effect. So let's briefly check how it looks like with just the logo. Note that the render is noisy because it is preview rendering. Now let's check out how it looks like with just the blue sphere by selecting layer 2 and 3 and playing back the animation. So now we have finished animating the objects. In the next couple of lectures we are going to animate the nodes for the logo and all the spheres. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.